What is up, guys? We're ready to go. We're excited. We're going to break this all down for you guys. Literally, we're going to jam pack a $3,000 weekend acquisition seminar in sales and wholesaling real estate all into this video today. So it's a lot going on today, right? We got a lot to share. We got a lot of secrets to give out. And we have a lot that I know we can share and really break down everybody's, basically break down everyone's wholesaling real estate acquisitions process into one simple statement. So this whole statement, this whole mantra, right? So you've been wholesaling real estate pretty much for over 20 years, right? So
yeah, approaching 21
so yeah, 21. So kind of crazy here. We're getting on 21 years of this.
Went by like that.
Yeah,
it really does. It goes by fast.
2003,
2000. I technically tried it in 2002, but 2000. I got very efficient by 2003, and 4 is when I got rolling. So it was a 2-year journey to get there. And you got to understand, I didn't have any of this stuff when I started. I had to get on planes and go to special private secret groups. But I gotta tell you, the groups were a lot. Once you got in, the groups were very sharing and stuff. But they're always like, don't share this wholesaling secret with anybody. I teach it to you and I charge you $5,000, don't tell anybody about it. And that was my introduction. To be honest with you, I was taught and completely wrong.
Yeah.
And I had to ad lib, and it took me about 1.5 years to really figure it out. And guys, I want you to understand, I took massive risk when I did it. If you think you're taking risk now, try doing it with no instruction, no game plan, manually mailing to people. And so my driving for dollars has always been a thing. We just didn't call it back then. We called it get in your car and go find addresses.
Yeah.
But that wasn't very sexy. So someone's repackaged it. But my diehard thing was door knocking. And man, was that scary. But I got over it, man. So if you're having any type of fear of cold calling, texting, mailing, I don't care what it is, get over it. Get over it. It's not nearly as bad as you think it is. So I'm just telling you.
Yeah. So let's break this down, what the sales tactic is. So you've been wholesaling since 2003, 4, in that range.
Mm-hmm.
And really you're wholesaling the regular way, right? Regular wholesaling, right? Doing very well. But one thing after 2008 happened, a book came out, right? And this book really changed the process on, first of all, I think a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember you reading this book and you having this book, and it really changed a lot, right?
Yeah.
And it really brought down, if you can talk to our wholesaling real estate process for the past 5, 6, for me, about 5 years, it's all come down to really, I'm not calling it one book, but one book really phrased what we did, right? Lowball offers. But what was it, right? It all comes down to, how can I get people to have a 97% success rate in making more money in their wholesaling business? It's just simply go for no. And there's this book here, 2008.
Well, there's a good backstory behind this. I don't think I even tell you about it. Listen,
guys.
Go
for no.
Yeah. So I've had this book forever. So
he likes this book so much, he got a second one for our salespeople.
I got more of them, man. I got packs and packs.
He's got 12 of them.
I give it to anybody who works with me.
He just gives these things away all day. But
well, listen, here's the deal is, you guys know I'm a fully admitted ADHD issues. I have a short attention span, but I want you to look at the thickness of this book. That's what attracted me to it initially. Okay. And then I was talking to some people, and I go, how do I get a point across to my sales staff on what we do? And this book was sitting on someone's desk, and I sat through, I think, a long lunch break and read it. That's how long, it's like an hour read. It depends on, maybe less than an hour.
It was written in 2008. So
they're big print.
Yeah.
And it's a really good story. It actually has, it doesn't reference wholesaling at all. And that's what I loved about it. And it just takes about the philosophy of a general salesperson and understanding on how to do it. And it's titled Go for No. And I'm going to summarize this up here. Okay. It says on the front, yes is the destination. No is how you get there. Okay.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter, I'm going to summarize 20 years of wholesaling. And if you can get this point here right now, you're going to be wildly successful. So many wholesalers are so focused on trying to get that initial yes. You know how you do it? You guys know exactly how you do it. You spend hours comping properties. You try to read every inspection report. You try to figure out all repairs. And the problem is you're spending all this time for probably a less than 5 to 10% probability they're even going to do a deal with you. So reverse engineer it. Stop going for the yes and just go for the no. And we're here to talk to you today how to simplify this process, because if you find yourself with analysis by paralysis, if you find yourself comping for hours on end, you're trying to get in a yes. Let me ask you this. When you sit and negotiate with someone, if you think you can sit down after a 30, 40-minute meeting and in one shot get a yes, you are not going to do well in wholesaling. So what you want to do is do it reverse. So we're going to talk about how to reverse this. Stop going for the yes on your initial offer. It's ridiculous. And here's the funny part is, let me give you a quick little analogy. What do realtors do? So let me ask you, I go, hey, Zach, so you're the seller. Go, listen, what do you think your property is worth, Zach?
I don't know.
So you think it's worth 500,000? Like, you're showing me data. I go, okay.
Possible.
Well, 500,000. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna list it for $599,900. This is what every realtor does. Yeah. You guys all know. Why did they do that? Why? Okay. So he listed at $599,000, and then they're gonna go, listen, if we can get any offer like north of $540,000, we're gonna take it. So we're gonna put out a price at $599,000. So they play the reverse strategy type of deal. So they give an offer and go, hey, Zach, I want to offer you, we're going to write an offer at $532,900. And then you're going to go like this. You're going to the realtor goes, listen, I got an offer here. It's a good starting point. So they reverse you into it because they're trying to get a middle, and like they're doing it the opposite way you're doing it. And then the idea is all sellers want to feel like they get a bargain. Yeah. Okay. So if you know realtors do it on the high scale, you have to do the reverse on wholesaling. Okay. Because if you initially have not a ridiculous offer, a higher offer, you're going to have no room to negotiate. So the problem is you guys spend all this time negotiating, doing all this stuff, and the odds are they're going to say no anyways. So just go for the no. Here's the secret to going for no. You got to build rapport with people. Otherwise, you are nothing but a transaction broker. Okay. And if I go and go, hey, Zach, I know your property's worth $500,000. I'll give you $250,000. What are you going to say? No. You say, get the hell out of my office. Yeah. Like, I'm done with you. Okay. Now, if I sit down there, I drink a cup of coffee with you, I talked about your kids. I go, hey, Zach, listen, I'm just going to take a wild shot here. I know you think the property is worth $500,000, but listen, what if I just give you a cash offer for $250,000? Is it something you're even interested in? Or
here's the thing.
You're going to say no.
Yeah.
Here's the catch, though. He's not going to kick you out. And what's going to happen? You're going to give me a counter. Yeah. The counter is the key for going for no, because you have no idea how low your seller will go. I've had instances with him in the room. I thought I was giving a go for no, and they fire out and do a handshake. I know. Actually, we're going to share a video with you shortly on like a very similar opera. You have no idea what's going on in the seller's head. And if you think you do, you don't. And if you're trying to guess by getting a yes, you're doing this business wrong. So stop spending all that time running comps and analysis, and you're sweating bullets. You're going to be nervous when you make the offer anyways. I'm just going to let you know up front. I was initially. And just go for the no. Like, that's it. So I have a process I can walk everybody through. Yeah. If you want to do it towards the end or do it now, it's so simple. I'm telling you guys, you have to meet with a ton of sellers. You already know that. So stop analyzing your deals. That's what realtors do. The realtor spends hours with these beautiful reports and stuff, and then they overlist the property so the buyer feels like they get to deal. You got to do the opposite. You got to give them a low offer, so when you go up in price, they seem like they're getting a deal on it. But if you're trying to hit that so you guys are, I'm going to make 70% offer. 70% of what? Okay. Do you want me to wait to give them the step-by-step?
Give it to them.
This is it. Number one, come up with a comp. A comp is a range. It's going to be within 5 to 10% max. Okay. So if the range is 200 to 220, you're going to pick 200, take 10 grand off of it right off the bat. Okay. So like 190, let's call it 185. Okay. And then from there, divide the number by 2, 50%, and make an offer and expect a rejection. Here's the key. If you built enough rapport, you're going to get resistance. You're going to get a no, but you're going to get a counter. And guess what counter is? I get inside of his head and he's going to give me his subconscious price. I'm telling you guys, I've done this every which way. If you do it like this, you don't have to waste all your time doing all these comps and stuff. And now you're starting a negotiation. But now, if he says you think the property's worth 200, you're trying to make these. If I give you 168,954, the guy goes, no, I want like 195. What are you going to do? And that's the problem when you try to get super tight on your numbers. So understand you're going to get a gap. Now, worst case scenario, he says absolutely yes. You actually might want to be more nervous because that doesn't even make sense, but it occasionally happens. But you're going to get a counter, and that counter is going to give you a lot of room to negotiate. So many of you are offering like 75 to 80% of the property. It leaves you no room to negotiate. Go for no, and I'm telling you, it's going to change because you guys are overthinking this business. Simplify it. You are going into a market that is rapidly declining. Your go for no is more important now than ever. I get it. The last 4 years was an anomaly. Prices were smoking hot. You guys could offer 95%. Guys, those days are over. I'm telling you, this is how wholesaling works. Now, I'm going to give you a disclaimer. Those of you that want to change the rules on how to do this, you're going to fail miserably. Rick, I'm going to change that 50% to 70%. See, that's the problem. The reality is when you do that, you're trying to alter it because it's going to make you uncomfortable. Guys, get uncomfortable because if you keep making these high offers, you're going to feel good. You'll get that instant gratification. Okay, great. You got a contract. You haven't made any money yet. You know who's going to reject you? Who's going to reject them when they get those high prices and they go to try to sell it?
Cash buyer.
You're going to get rejected like 15 times from cash buyers. So would you rather get rejected once and negotiate, or on the back end 15 times stress out? And I don't care what you say, there's nothing worse than going to a seller. It happens every now and then, but when you're doing it like 60% of the time, or some of you guys like 90% of the time, go, I got to get out of this because I paid you too much. The seller is 100% going to tell you to get out of here. You're wasting my time. Okay. So go for the no. Find the lowest comp. Don't go with the highest comp, the lowest comp. Build massive rapport. Divide it by 2. Make a scrunchy face offer. Go, listen, what if I just offered you like $100,000? Is this something you're interested in? As long as you don't get kicked out of there, you have room to negotiate. And if they go, are you crazy? Did you lose your mind? I go, that's what my partner said, but that's why I'm here talking to you. Tell me a number that would work for you to get rid of this property. And just start with that. And now we're volleying. And then I teach you the volley method. Go to freewholesaling.com. I teach you how to do this. But guys, you understand you have to have that room to negotiate. And by going for no, you will have more success. You have been conditioned by realtors, your parents, your teachers to try to get an initial yes. Rejection is a good thing. It works.
You're broke, guru.
Yeah, I'm just telling you guys, like right now, you got to like, I might even come back in 3 to 6 months and tell you to like even lower the number, go for 40% of it. But by doing that gap, it's a psychology thing. I'm getting his subconscious counter. And then at the end, he or she's going to feel like they got a deal because you went up. Okay. And that's the problem. But if you chase prices at 70, 80, 90%, where are you going to play with this thing, man? So what if we have back taxes and all this other, dude, at 50% offers, you got plenty of room to negotiate. So guys, I have a lot of experience in doing this. I know it sounds painful. You just have to condition yourself. You're better off to get the rejection up front and have that difficult conversation than to sit here and fight with your cash buyers. You know what the number one question or concern I'm getting from everybody on this? My cash buyers, they're confused. Like they won't give me a commitment. You paid too much for the property. The cure is go for no.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. So we have a lot of strategies for Wholesaling.com, how to do the go for no strategy. So I'll break down some of them too. And then we can kind of get in a little more about this. But kind of what you said about the comp thing is right. It is a range, but you got to understand, first of all, your motivated seller does not know at all what your offer is going to be starting out, and you don't know what their lowest offer is going to be, right? It's kind of a weird game because you guys don't really know the prices of each other. So in wholesaling real estate, we're negotiating. We always want the advantage. So how do we do this, right? He who says the price first loses. That's how traditional wholesaling, traditional sales goes, right? And this is why we like this book. And You can obviously pay for the book, right? You got Richard Fenton and Andrea Waltz. Shout out to them. So there's a bunch of free PDFs out here on these two. I'm not telling you to do that, but there's a lot of people that have no money that do it. We've bought it like 50 times. So I think I've bought it for every single person on the stream probably.
Yeah, I buy them in cases. It's really cheap.
But,
it's a quick read. It's short. If you got a short attention span like me, like I like to get to the point and get it done. And it just says, listen, you're approaching sales all wrong. Go for the no. So by getting the no, you're getting your seller to give you kind of their bottom line price. And that's your starting point for negotiating. By doing it the other way, you going for a yes, you're now chasing the seller. By doing this strategy, the seller has to reach and chase to you somewhat. Otherwise, guys, if there's not motivation, we're moving on. We are not realtors. So many of you guys go, I can't get a cash buyer to buy. You pay too much. And then you go, I'm having problems comping this property. And you'll say to me, Zach, can you comp it for me? I go, we're not realtors. Like, just if it takes you more than 10 minutes to comp something, you're paying too much for it. I'm just telling you, remember, we're doing an initial flyby when we talk to people. Okay. Once we get in knee deep, then you can go deeper into the comps. But if I'm going to talk to 100 people and only 5 or 6 of them are worth having a conversation with, we go for the go for no, and then we get 1 or 2, then we can deep dive and get to the nitty gritty. The problem is you guys are getting deep diving all your leads. So some of you work on like 5 leads and you deep dive and you get frustrated. Here's the cure. Go for no. I'm telling you, it works. Realtors use it in the opposite fashion. So why don't we learn and just reverse engineer from it? It works.
Exactly. So again, you look at this book, it says 2 really important things about the sales process and how we do it in our business, right? So number 1 here, the go for no process in 2008 was proven to be 92% more effective. It outperformed 92% of the world's salespeople. So knowing that, if you can perform over 92% of salespeople, think of wholesaling real estate, it's 95, 96, 97%. So what is our strategies for go for no, right? Like we can always say it all day, but like, what is it, right? So first of all, it's that low ball, right? It's just going out here and lowballing the seller. And I think that's the first thing we should understand about the go for no. You're going to lowball more, but because you lowball more, you will make more money. And here's the thing about the go for no strategy that we're always saying here, but like the money is in the counter. And what I mean by that is, of course, if I offer 250 for a house worth 500, they're not going to take that. But when I counter and they counter me at 350 and I meet in the middle at 280, that's better than me offering 300 and make an extra $15,000. I didn't exercise yesterday on the live stream and it really opened some people's eyes. So I asked everybody, if you had a deal and you know a cash buyer could buy for $100,000, what would your initial offer be? Most people said 80, 85, 90. They're okay with making 10, 15 grand. That's what they'd offer. And really, if you know that, most sellers, they know psychologically that they've read, The Art of the Deal. They read all these negotiating books, right? Yeah. That they just look it up. Like you go on TikTok or you go on YouTube, how to negotiate a home sale. The first thing they always say is never take the first offer. So I could literally, my first offer could be the best price ever. They're not going to take it no matter what.
Yeah.
But if my initial offer is really low and they put their guard down by saying no to the first one, they feel good about that. And they negotiated me up. Some people just want to feel like, hey, I negotiated them up. I did my best. So make the first offer really low. If you make it really high, guys, you can't go high. You can't go lower on your initial offer. You can't. You can only go higher. So just know that. So why don't you just keep it low and then go from there? It drives me so crazy when people do that. But just understand that, guys and gals, that like you can't renegotiate. You can't renegotiate on a lower price. It can only go higher. So just that's why I say everyone for go for no. And so you love the volume method. We'll break down the volume method a little later. I like the good cop, bad cop method, where it's like, hey, I was telling my partner Rick, and he was telling me he wanted to buy this thing for $250,000. You just get the reaction from there, because you don't have to build that much rapport. Because if they get really upset, Rick's crazy. He wants to buy things for cheap. I'm here to help you out. I'm level-headed. Let's meet in the middle, right? And that works really well. So there's a ton of strategies, everything like that, but what I want really everybody to understand is y'all are just overcomplicating everything. And like I just, even yesterday, I kind of broke like I talked about the lowballing method a lot yesterday, and kind of piggybacking on this. So this is the perfect like 2-part video series for it. But even after I explained to everybody how to give offers in under 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Not even the sales, just like how to give an offer in under 2 minutes. People still complicate. They found ways to complicate it because just being honest, a lot of you guys are too smart for your own good. And I'm saying this sincerely with like no jokes aside. You guys are too smart for your own good. And what I mean by that is you guys are very smart with everything you do. You're very analytical with it, right? That's why you chose freewholesaling.com. That's why you watch our stuff, because you know that we have the best content out there. And like you're very analytical with it. With me, who's a very analytical person, I could tell you is it took me a long time to learn this, but you sometimes just got to shut your brain off and just take the action. And what I mean by this is like so many people they'll spend, I don't know, an hour on a comp on one property before they even call the person. And I'm telling everybody, stop sweating the offer and start sweating the motivation. If you get really worried and stressed out if your seller's going to be motivated or not, that's where the care should be on the deal. You should not care about the offer or the comps. I don't care about that because I can always change comps.
Yeah.
I can always change the price. I can always lowball a seller, but I can never make somebody more motivated or less motivated to sell a property. I can't make somebody's family member unfortunately pass away for them to want to sell it more. I can't have the bank foreclose. I can't do that. You don't want to do that, right? You can't change somebody's motivation. I can't make the property worse. I can't not cut the grass, but you can always change the price. So focus on what you can control in life. And this is just a general life rant, but like in life, focus on what you can control. And if I can't control, I can control the price, just lowball it, but I can't change the motivation. So let's focus on that and then go from there. Guys, if you are spending more than 4 minutes doing your comps, stop doing it, right? Steve Jobs says this. And so Charles puts this up here. Steve Jobs says this: simplicity scale. Well, simple scales, fancy fails. That's right. But Steve Jobs says the quote that simplicity scales, complexity fails. Or was it Bill Gates that said that? I'll figure it out. Hold on. Simplicity scales. Complexity fails. That was a Steve Jobs quote. Love Steve Jobs. But yeah, guys, the more simple you make this, the more money you're going to make. Just turning your brain off and being like, hey, let's just lowball the seller. The reason why this works is because you're just going to have more volume. You're going to be able to talk to more sellers besides spending 6 hours on one deal.
And what do you need when you start out? Because you don't have the experience level.
You need experience.
You need volume. And the
yeah.
only way you get experience is through volume. And volume and high quantity will make up for your shortcomings. And then in a short time period, guess what you get with the volume? Experience.
Yeah.
So stop trying to make the perfect offer. It doesn't exist. I'm telling you, I've done this long enough. In the beginning, if you just, especially in this market, it couldn't be more ripe. Remember, the challenge is your sellers are typically making decisions on emotions. You can't make offers on emotions. You're going to have to remove it. So by using our go for no process, our instant offer is you remove the emotion and you just make offers. Remember, 9 times out of 10, your initial offer is never where you're going to end up. It's just a starting point. Because if the rule is he or she that speaks first loses, then throw out a losing question that you already know, and they're going to give you the right answer for it. So if they're already reverse hacking on how to negotiate their piece of real estate, is throw out your first price and make sure it gets rejected. They're going to counter them. You can say, hey, Rick, you're tricking, you're baiting. No, you're not. We're just playing within the rules. Is most of the time sellers react emotionally. Okay. So this is going to accomplish 2 things. It's going to get you out of your own head. You're going to make the first offer, which is going to throw them way out of whack. Because here's what most of you guys do. Mr. Seller, what's the lowest price you would take for cash? Dude, they're on to that. They're on to that. So, Mr. Seller, would you take $100,000 for your house? Or like, is that going to work for you? I got $100,000 cash.
That's different.
Yeah. And then you're going to go, I can't do 100,000. Are you nuts? Me and my wife talked to, I can't go below 130. I'm like, all right. Now that's your starting point to negotiate. You just saved probably 2 weeks of BS. You beat every other investor to the punch. And who gave the offer? Who gave the price first when you do this, right? Yeah. He gave the price first because my offer, honestly, you take 50 cents on the dollar, I'll take it all day. but I get a reaction and we move on. So I see Karina's poker. My biggest problem is comping in Texas. I am always off on my MAO. So let's change MAO to LAO.
What's that?
Lowest allowable offer.
Okay.
Start with that, guys. Stop
Yeah.
trying to do the
Do the
MAO
LAO.
and let's go to the LAO. Because you're going to spend hours. You're going to drive yourself nuts. The LAO, I can promise you can do it less than 5 minutes.
You just got to give lower offers out here. And I want everybody to understand that the lower offer you make, that's it. Just go for the LAO. I like that one. And it'll change everything, guys. But I want you guys to understand this. Just stop making everything
up with MAO. Like, honestly, I get it.
MAO is really good.
But that's where you end up.
That's where
that's your max.
Well, you want to be lower than that.
So you got to start with an LAO to get to your MAO, right?
Yeah. So I've always done MAO, and really how I figure out MAO is really it's like what's the most a cash buyer is going to buy for it, right? So figure out your LAO, and I kind of talked about this yesterday, right? How do I figure out your LAO? I like that. Think about your lowest gut wrenching offer. Like, oh my gosh, that gets me scared. Like, I don't even want to say that. And now go 25% below that and make that your lowest offer. So just look at the property, gotta do some simple comps, spend 2 minutes doing it. Like, okay, 3 2s you're going for this area. It might need some work. And I showed you how to go to freewholesaling.com and really look at how to do the repair cost worksheet. 2 minutes. Okay, you know what? This thing might be worth maybe 150, 160 to a cash buyer. Oh gosh, 100 would really freak me out right now. All right, 75. Offer that.
Yeah.
Like, just guys,
that's how I initially came up to it. When I was teaching Zach, I'm like, quit 20, 30 grand up. We never put a number on it, but like in our market conditions right now, you guys talk to 100 people, you're spending all your time trying to figure the MAO when you can just quickly do an LAO. And then once you sort it out and you find the 5 or 6 people want to work with you, then you can work on the MAO. But like, why spend all that? That's the number one reason you guys burn out in wholesaling and you quit, because you're spending MAO, dude. That's like, realtors do that 99. So I think what's a realtor's? It's past the MAO. It's like 100%.
Yeah. So MAO is just where you just want to be below. So yeah, we do teach that, and it's something you should be doing. But I think you should focus on the LAO first.
That'll give you the volume and it'll get you through. And here's the really cool thing. The LAO, it will help you seek motivation because you're going to watch people's reaction. And guys, I'm just telling you, don't do this without building rapport because it's not going to go well.
And here's the biggest, I want everyone to understand when we're saying this. Like, we're talking about lowballing all this stuff. It's great. But if you do not know how to lowball the right way, if you do not know how to talk to sellers the right way, if you do not know how to build up the appointment the right way, you will fail. And no, there's no crazy skills or like, you got to know generally how to do it. So this is why I tell everyone, go to freewholesaling.com. If you just throw out low balls like that, it's not going to do well. It's not good, right? It's sort of like, I always call it, it's like a basketball. It's like playing it's like shooting a 3-pointer.
Mm-hmm.
If you get the ball and you try to line up perfectly and get the 3-point, you're going to get blocked. Like, someone's going to come up and slap you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you get a 3-point and just try to chuck it, it's not going to do well. There's a happy median where you spend some
time go in,
but like not chucking it, but like sometimes where at least you get in a good position and then you shoot with some follow through where it'll go in, where it's not perfect, but it's got enough into it where
okay, Larry Bird.
Good. But that's the thing. Like, you cannot be perfect on it, but you got to have at least some effort into it. And that's how you should do your lowball offers in the sales tactics. And really that's it, guys. So yes, we have our scripts. freewholesaling.com. We have it all in there. And then
think about this. The people that listen, I'm not picking on any one person, but there's a large guru base out there that teaches you how to give an MAO on like MLS. So their percentages are brutal. So if they send out 100 offers, they'll get like 3 to 5 responses and maybe one will work with them.
Well, there's people that do that in our market.
So the problem is that's when you build zero rapport and now you're a transaction coordinator, basically.
It's MLS wholesaling is different though.
It's different. Yeah. It's a huge numbers game. And to me, you have to have beyond massive volume. By building rapport, you can actually find the ones that'll work with you. And remember, guys, it's how to start the conversation. If I could get everybody to do 50 cents on the dollar, like we'd all be like super, you wouldn't have wholesaling at all then. So remember, the LAO allows you to seek out motivation, work with the people that are going to do a wholesale deal. That keeps you out of like realtor world, and you don't have to sit there and try to give the perfect offer that they'll say yes for. Like, trust me, guys, when I started, I had to get over this. We've all been conditioned for it. We got to be professionals. It's got to be perfect. Dude, it's the complete opposite. So if you get a chance, pick up the book. It spells it out. That's the only point of this book. Anything else is really a waste of your time. Go for no, guys. Like, that's it. Simplify it. You are in a rapidly declining market. Some of you people on the West Coast, there's crazy numbers coming up. You've got to get the lowest price to move your product. Okay.
I'm not calling it rapidly.
And the last,
it's going down though, but not insane.
I saw some of the numbers coming out in Arizona. Like, that is kind of ground zero.
Yeah.
Arizona and California, Nevada, they're all having challenges. So but guys, in this market, I don't know where the bottom's going to be. It looks like the next year could be a very bloody year. So you've got to find the lowest price so you can move product. And while you do this, you're going to learn so much while you do it. Here's the key is, do not try to manipulate this through your own goggles to make it work for your personality. You're going to have to get uncomfortable. You're going to have to make it happen. And remember, this technique allows your seller to give you a price, which, what do we teach you? Whoever gives price first basically loses. We're not really giving a real price. We're giving an offer to try to initiate a counter. Every good realtor wants what? Other than a smoking hot market. They want a counter, right? Yeah. And here's what they tell them. Ready for this? It's a good starting point. And I'm telling you right now, LAO, good starting point. It works. So guys, I just gave you 20 years crash course. I probably saved you hundreds of thousands of dollars in coursework. This is the truth to wholesaling. Everybody tries to make all this stuff so sexy and do this and do that. All these cute little techniques people are teaching you outside of wholesaling, it's try to get everybody to say yes. The reality is you need to be going for no. He or she that goes for no more times will be the most successful in wholesaling. And honestly, that's kind of how life is. I want you guys to say yes to opportunity. But when it comes to wholesaling, this is a sales technique that works wildly successful in wholesaling. And if you'll use it, you'll get your brain out of it. You can't operate on emotions on this. Your sellers, 95% of them operate off of emotion. So if you invoke that emotion for a response, which is a counter, you're going to do very, very well.
I